Come back very soon. What an amazing voice. Thank you. And Nina, I did just put away my Christmas CDs yesterday on the way home from our pray-in.
Yeah.
Prayed my last one. Prayed my last CD. We had an Epiphany pray-in Friday evening until Saturday evening. Kate and I hosted that. And I'm feeling dangerous today. So I just thought I'd share that. For those of you who were here for our New Year's service, we ended the service with the idea of who have you come here to be, and we light a candle to the card that we draw. And for this year, I drew playful, so that's why I feel dangerous. I think it's going to be a good year, right, Joe? Yeah, we'll hear about that. So is anybody here for the very first time today? I'm not thinking so. We have this fun thing that we do every once in a while, mostly when I've been up for 24 hours or more. And it's called Always Wondered, where we have questions in the box from congregants. And we draw the questions and see what we come up with. My friend Reverend Aaron calls this the lessons written by the congregation. I love the start of this question. Why can't other people? Here's the rest of the question. Why can't other people see all religions are of God? So the subtext here is, why can't other people see the world and life the way I see the world and life? Hopeless. That's not going to happen. So why can't other people see all religions are of God? Where shall we go with this one? Religion, remember, is not exactly invented by God or by Jesus, as some people would think. It is a man-made construct, and it is a construct that has been morphed over the centuries to fit the perceptions of humankind, which are many, many. There are many religions around the world. There are some folks within each religion and sometimes within each denomination who believe my religion, my beliefs are the one way and the only way. So apparently that belief in that system works for them. Typically in folks that are attracted to unity or to new thought denominations tend to have what I might dangerously call a little broader view that everyone is in their right place at the right time. And everyone who is involved with a belief system and living a belief system is living the one that works for them and is right for them. It's because we're in the human condition that other people can't see that all religions are of God. That's the answer. It's because we're in the human condition. That would have saved us a little time. Do you want to draw one for me, please? Way at the bottom. Oh, means it's a deep question. I love reading these with the inflection in which they are written. I mean, really, what is truth? Nina, you want to take this one? I mean, really, what is truth? Again, we can start with the idea that person wrote truth with a lowercase t. When I tend to write truth, because of my training and my education in Unity, I tend to write it with an uppercase T. So what is truth, once again, can be seen in the eyes of the beholder, yes? What is truth for me might not necessarily be truth for another person. Now, in terms of unity teachings and truth in the context of metaphysics, truth with a capital T, truth as in God mind, divine mind in us and as us, truth in the idea of the absolute realm or the realm of spirit is that which is eternal, that which is unchanging. So from my perspective, what is truth is that which is unchanging. If I measure my prosperity on the numbers in my bank account, my truth, lowercase t, one day might be, I am rich. And the next week, my bank account might look very different and my truth might look very different. That's a fact, not a truth necessarily. The truth of me is I am prosperity in action. I am the divine flow of spirit in action. I am substance made manifest. So that's an example of what is truth, really. When I come to truth, I come to metaphysical teachings. Does that make sense? What is truth? That which is eternal and that which is unchanging. I feel like you're supposed to draw one, Joe. Make it easy. Thank you. Aww. I feel like the Velveteen Rabbit. How do we love the unlovable? Does anyone know someone who's unlovable? Just a couple of us.
He's not unlovable. His mama just feels sometimes that he goes out of his way to act unlovable.
So the truth of him, the capital T is every living being on earth is created out of the energy of divine love. Yes?
Yes.
That is the truth. Therefore, every living being, including the animals that we use for our sustenance, by the way, every living being is lovable. Again, we come back to the human condition. If we think of this in terms of human beings, the truth of us, I love how Josh always says, I am wholly lovable and wholly loving. So the truth is, we are all, each and every one, lovable. Depending on the environment, the conditions, the family system into which we are born, we don't all necessarily have the skills to demonstrate lovability. Do you know what I mean? So how do we love the unlovable? Here we go. Back to our first question. We see the truth of them. We see the truth of them, and we know that they are born out of the energy of divine love. The other thing for us to remember, if we're regarding someone as not necessarily lovable, is that everybody has a story to tell. And that people that seem or appear unlovable, there's likely a really big story there. And likely some extremely deep wounds, emotional and sometimes physical wounds. Ooh, this is an intricate question. Is anybody enjoying themselves this morning? Thanks for coming out in the January temperatures. Ooh, this is long. Did the Fillmores ever place any emphasis on social action? And this is interesting because we have our meeting coming up this next Sunday to exchange and share ideas on how can we as individuals and how can we as a spiritual community participate in social action out in our greater community. I remember this conversation came up several times. This topic came up several times in our fall community meeting about we need to be in the community. We need to be socially active. So, commercial for next week's meeting. Did the Fillmores are the co-founders of Unity, ever place any emphasis on social action, deriving spiritual enrichment outside of ourselves? I'm scrolling through my Fillmore books. And I'm not remembering Fillmore's writing specifically about outreach work and social action work. And I will say that it's not so much I think in the Unity framework, it's not so much a thing to do as it is a way of being and a way of life. And I'll also say that Fillmore very specifically wrote about, he wasn't, again, because of unity principle and truth teachings, he wasn't a helper in terms of being an enabler, and he didn't speak to or respond to need or lack. So he stood in the truth of, he and she, Myrtle, stood in the truth of knowing that every being is born out of substance, and every being has access to the same substance that every other human being does. It's not like one of us gets a greater portion than another. So he didn't talk about need, he didn't write about need, he didn't speak to need, but what he talked about is knowing the truth for individuals in terms of community service. And, the phrase is that he didn't give a person a fish, he taught that person how to fish for themselves. And that is an aspect of community service. This is a good one. Or is the totality of unity an emphasis on locating our spiritual navel for our entire life? I so want to say yes, just to be playful. Addressing what unity is about. Unity is very much an individualistic teaching and obviously a community teaching. It's also about self-awareness. So when we talk about locating our spiritual navel, what we're really talking about is introspection, self-reflection, and self-awareness. And I believe the more self-aware we are, the more actualized we are, the more capable we are of participating in social action in a really powerful way. Audience participation. Yes, thank you. You're welcome.
Do you believe that in founding Silent Unity, which used to be called The Light That Shines for You, do you think that's social action?
That's a great question. Silent Unity is the 24/7 prayer operation at Unity Village that's been in existence since the late 1800s. And the question is that a form of social action? Is prayer a form of social action? But of course, yes, because we're holding the consciousness. Again, we're standing in the truth and holding the consciousness for another individual. That's a really good question.
It's going to be a good one.
Going to be a good one. I can feel it. It's a long one. How does one make life-changing decisions and be in line with God's will? Here's one of my favorite questions. Does God have a will for us? What's that?
He gave us the will to lead our lives.
He gave us the will? I mean, that's not really what this person's asking. But I do love the question. Does God have a will for us? You know how, particularly in an untimely transition, untimely death, particularly when it's a child that predeceases a parent, and I hear someone say, it's God's will. And I want to say, and sometimes I do say, how do you know? It's God's will. I forgot the question. How does one make life-changing decisions and be in line with God's will? One makes life-changing decisions by aligning with and tuning into one of our 12 divine powers, which is divine wisdom. And our divine wisdom is right at the apex of the rib cage. And in our divine wisdom, we are connected with divine mind. We are connected with absolute truth. And so when we are making, quote unquote, life-changing decisions, we are aligning with the higher consciousness in us, the Christ consciousness, divine mind, God mind. I believe if God had a will for us, that will is our highest good. And those life-changing decisions, when we're tuning in with divine wisdom, are always directing us toward our highest good. How do you know when you're making the right decision? I'd like a little audience participation on that. Who among us have ever felt like you've made the right decision at any point in your life? And how did you know it was right? At the time that you were making it, not after you experienced the outcome, but at the time that you were making it, how did you know it was right?
Okay, now I'm on. I looked at how it made me feel. The decision, how it made me feel, maybe the circumstance, my feelings surrounding it, and then went into, okay, is this the best for me? Is this the best for the situation that is occurring? Looking at the feelings surrounding the decision.
So it's a gut feeling, it's instinctual, yes?
Yes.
Which is part of our divine wisdom. Any other insightful thoughts on that?
I have lost and found things by taking away what I want or what I think and pausing and then letting go of it. And sometime in the next few minutes, it comes. And I walk up and I find it in wherever I walked up. And I do the same thing when I need to make a decision. Mm-hmm. I think of all the ego things and all the other logical reasons and all the reasons why not to do this and to do that. And then I pause and just let go of it, and a little breathing and a little meditation and a little totally letting go. The decision is out of my hands for a while. Not going to think about it. And then it comes.
How do you know when it comes?
I feel free and relaxed and out of angst, I guess.
Wonderful.
It doesn't happen all the time.
It doesn't. And sometimes it doesn't happen instantaneously. Because sometimes we pressure ourselves into feeling, I have to know, and I have to know right now. And for me, that's a signal to tell me to continue to be still and to continue to align until I know that I know, which is activating the wisdom center. Just before you said that, I had another thought to add to it. It's hard to wait. Oh, no, it is not. I am the most patient waiter in the world. Yeah. Yeah, still waiting. And I know what I was going to say. Again, my friend Reverend Aaron, when we were working on some things during the ministerial program, many years ago, what we practiced was trying on a decision, just trying it on intellectually, emotionally, instinctually. And then, like you mentioned, Linda, trying on another decision. And for me, it's always like just checking in with the wisdom center. How does that feel when we're checking in with insight? So on that note, let us invest a few moments of navel inspection. And I invite everyone here to get comfortable in your seat, particularly as we are launching ourselves from this time of Epiphany. It's a really wonderful time of year because I believe that Epiphany has a lot to do with our divine faculty of wisdom, of knowing. And one of the definitions of Epiphany is the realization of the Christ consciousness. So in this morning's service, as Nina and Joe mentioned, as we're bridging the Christmas season into this time of activating in the new year, I invite us to come to our wisdom center. Again, the body point is just at the apex of the rib cage. The disciple that Charles Fillmore associated with wisdom is James, son of Zebedee. And I'm feeling very confident that those of us who have gathered today can come back to a time in life when we knew that we knew that we knew that Spirit was present, that God is quickened and activated in us, that divine mind is attuned to absolute truth. And so whatever our collective and individual thoughts have been as we face and step into this new year, let us know under all things and above all things that God stands under all things, that right where we are, God is. So as we step into the silence, let us rest in the sweet knowing. Right where I am, right here, right now, God is. Let us be still and know. delicious. And so we let it be. Amen and amen. Thank you, Nina.